All right. I think you can see my screen there.
So sorry for the delay, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Smart with Your Money Live. I am Chase Peckham, the Director of Community Outreach and Education at the San Diego Financial Literacy Center, the education arm of Debt Wave Credit Counseling. And as always, our fearless Smart with Your Money Live leader and educator, Felipe Arevalo, is going to discuss social media and finances today. Phil, take it away.
This should be a fun one. I think that most of us use social media. If you're watching this on Facebook, then you definitely use social media. But today we're going to go over how social media and finances work. Screen sharing good. Chase, you can see my slides?
Yep.
All right, perfect. First, some stats. I know I try and stay away from the stats, but we're going to start with those today. The number of social media users is 4.7 billion worldwide. That's about 50 compared to the population, about 59%. Obviously, some of us use multiple social medias, so that we might be users more than once. But of the population who are 13 and over, that's 75% when you compare it. More and more people use social media every single year. And the average time spent on social media is 2.5 hours. And the average number of social media platforms people use every month is 7.4. I didn't even know there were 7.4 social media platforms. Maybe I need to step my game up, or maybe I should just log into MySpace again. But there's a lot of people using social media, and it's important to it's there. It's not only there, it's here, it's where you're sitting, it's on my phone, it's everywhere. So it does come into play. It's no surprise that it found its way into finances, and it's changed the way we shop, changed the way we do a lot of different things. So social media and those finances, and how they change it. So let's start with on a positive note, right? The positive, well, it allows you to keep track and connect with friends, family. It's entertaining. It allows us, it's allowing some of you to watch this on Facebook, and it allows us companies and to share information with you, and share our message, and hopefully teach some people things. In our case, personal finances, but there's other there's workout people who do workouts. There's a whole bunch of different things you can learn. So there are some positives, and of course it's always cool to stay connected with loved ones. Now, another big positive is some people make money on social media. All you have to do is like dance and get a bunch of followers, or do something silly, or do something creative, and maybe you too can make money on social media. Some people have it as a side hustle. Some people, you actually make it a full-time job. And you can also sell unwanted goods that you may have sitting around, like your own little virtual garage sale on social media, and find a market for things that you may have to sell. So, your garage sale, your yard sale doesn't have to be limited to just setting up on the weekend and going that way. You might have the ability to make some money on
an influencer media. Huh?
You could be an influencer. Yeah,
my kids, they're all over. They know so many influencers that I have absolutely zero idea who they are.
Right. We're zero interest to find out who they are.
Probably. Although, it is super interesting to have somebody have a food challenge and try to eat and stuff themselves with 9 cheeseburgers and 6 orders of fries within one sitting, because that's entertaining somehow.
Oh, I agree. I'm not saying I don't consume it. I'm just saying I could never be it. And I don't know that I want my kids to be it.
No.
For the first time, I asked Barrington, he's 9. We asked him, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And it changes over and over and over, as most people with kids, most kids change. Some people are set on it, and then he said he wants to be a YouTuber.
Yeah, like, my kids have said that too.
You better get started on it now while you have no financial responsibilities, because that's not going to fly when you get older. You want to do that now? Have at it. But people do make money, and there are people who make good amounts of money.
Yeah.
So it's not
and do good with it.
and do good.
Give it away. Yeah.
And there's successful, but the ones you're seeing on your feed are the ones that really were successful. For every one of those, there's a lot of them that you never see.
Thousands.
And
that you
unfortunately,
never see.
lots of other people didn't see them as well,
Right.
and it didn't work out. So we shift from the good stuff to the bad stuff. It does take up a lot of people's time. It takes up not just the physical time of sitting there and scrolling through and trying to keep track of everything. That is time that you could have done something else with. You could have gone out and worked. You could have started a different side hustle. You could have learned a new skill that you can later use for something. People say, I want to learn a new language. Well, if you just spent the whole time you spent on social media using a language learning software or taking a class, that amount of time, it was 2 point something hour, more than 2 hours a day. You spend more than 2 hours a day practicing another language, you're going to be talking Espanol in no time, and that's something that you can use. You might not learn it by the time our next swim live, which will be in Spanish, but maybe when it rolls around next year, you'll be ready to watch this in Spanish.
100%.
It's there, and it's time that you're really just kind of wasting away, or opportunity cost. You could have been doing something else with your time.
My son was very proud of himself because he said, Dad, look, I only spent 1 hour and 20 minutes on my phone on the social media today. Like, jeez, that's a good thing.
I mean, he's below average. The average person spends over 2. So in that regards, I suppose that it is a good thing. But the next thing is it's all one big trap. You kind of get entrapped in it, and I'm guilty of it as well. You might start watching a reel or a short or whatever it is, and before you know it, you're 20 minutes in, and you're like, oh, I gotta remember to make dinner. It does kind of trap you in, and it just kind of creates it causes people stress. Like, people stress over social media.
Yes.
So you really want to ask yourself when you're scrolling through there, not just from a financial standpoint, but you just kind of want to, what am I benefiting from this? And does that benefit outweigh, my time spent that I could have spent doing something else? And then the financial components that are coming up. It really expands the world that you live in. You have a lot more people, which means you have a lot more keeping up with the Joneses to do.
Consumerism.
It really is. And, the Joneses used to be your neighbors, your coworkers, your close families, and friends and acquaintances. Now it's the person you went to high school you haven't seen in 15 years. Yeah. It's, that one person you met at a wedding, 5 years ago and haven't seen or talked to since. It expands the keeping up with the Joneses. There's a lot more people that we see on vacations. There's a lot more people that we see that bought cars or bought anything, a new watch or whatever the case may be. So keeping up with the Joneses is now like keeping up with a whole lot more people. And that really goes into play. If it was hard before, now it's even harder. Now you have a lot more keeping up to do.
Yeah, I mean, more people are doing, it's literally rivaling Google with consumerism now, the social media platforms and the different ways that people are buying products.
I would argue they sometimes play hand in hand. You see the ads, and it's
seriously,
it's tough. The other thing that it causes, going from one cliche to the other, keeping up with the Joneses, to FOMO. You see everyone else out there doing things, going on vacations. I was at my nephew's birthday party over the weekend, and I saw some friends I hadn't seen in a while, and they're like, man, your road trip looked epic. I can't wait to take my kids on a road trip. I want to plan one next summer. That all is part of it. Yeah. It's that. Now I'm like, yeah, I'm going to plan one too. Maybe we'll go at the same time. Who knows? But it just that extra more opportunities for the FOMO. You might skip out on going out with your friends one night and then wake up the next morning to see all the cool videos on Instagram or Snapchat or whatever, and realize, man, I could have been there. I could have been at that concert. I could have been, out and about, or whatever the case may be. And it just kind of expands the opportunity for FOMO.
Or yeah, FOMO, like bags, products, all those kinds of things that people
Yeah.
are using, wearing while they're on those videos or in their pictures. People might be like, oh, I gotta have that. Where did she
Right.
get that?
Exactly.
Where did he get that? I
Which
need to wear that. Yeah.
And sometimes we're guilty of being the bad influence with and falling into it with peer pressure. And sometimes people use social media just because of the peer pressure, where everyone else has a TikTok, maybe I want to. Everyone else is on Facebook, on Instagram, or whatever the case may be. And maybe you don't even, I mean, again, if you're not getting anything out of it, why go join it if you've been surviving fine without it?
Yes.
Once you're there, once you're using it, you might get more hooked into it. It might be exciting. It might be something you end up liking. Why add another time consuming, money consuming expense to, or potentially money consuming? But there's that peer pressure to spend. And then sometimes we inevitably become the peer pressure. Like me posting about the road trip. Now my friends see it. Now they want to go on a road trip. It just kind of, I wasn't trying to pressure anyone to go on a road trip, but except for maybe my brother. But it just creates that urgency to, man, I want to go do that too. Peer pressure is not just for teenage years. It doesn't go away. I saw a lot of the memes were like, you want to motivate your neighbors to cut the yard, go out and do a perfect yard cutting technique and do a pattern on there, and that'll get your neighbors out to motivate it. But looks can be deceiving. People don't post the negative things on social media. I don't remember if you guys remember this commercial. I asked Sarah and she didn't know, but people post the fun things. People post the fact that they got or they purchased something new or something along those lines. They don't post the piles of credit card debt. They don't post the fact that new car maybe pushing their finances to the limit and they're having a hard time to make their monthly payments, or their credit card balances are going up. So you don't know how much debt that's causing. That trip that person is on might be on a credit card and it may need to be paid off over the course of the next years. So you definitely want to be a little careful with that. And then even within social media, you have groups that are specifically designed for shopping, really, for deals, finding the best deals. I know my wife is part of a Target group and on Facebook.
Excuse me.
And all they do is share, oh, look at this great sale I found at Target, or did you know they have, car seat buyback days, or whatever the case may be. So she knows all these Target deals that are coming up, sometimes before they even come up. And that causes more opportunity to go and spend. There's local groups from your little area where you could find deals and things like that. And it's great if you're looking for a deal, but it's not great if it's not something you are going to buy anyways. Needs versus wants come into play big here. And when you go buy something you just saw on social media, you definitely want to make sure that it's something you needed before you went on there, as opposed to something that you saw that was on sale. So it goes from the bad to like the downright ugly and difficult and sometimes a little scary. But when you sign up for social media, you give up a lot of your info. You'll get things, and you might put something in a shopping cart and all of a sudden start seeing ads for it. You might, sometimes get a notice that, that item, and you don't believe me, go talk about something that you've never shopped for. You're going to start seeing ads for it. On our recent podcast, we talked about, Chase, you and I, we mentioned Chuck E. Cheese a couple times.
Yes.
I've never seen a Chuck E. Cheese ad until after we talked about that on the podcast. I didn't search it. It's just like, it seems like it magically pops up.
It's crazy how it knows. It really is.
Yeah. So, and I didn't, thankfully my kids haven't seen the ad, but and they get marketed too, kids. But when you sign up for social media, you start putting in your likes, you start putting in your location, you start putting in, checking into places and things like that. that's all information that you're giving up. Have you read your terms and agreement before you signed up for it? What information are you sharing? And then how will that information be used against you to get you to spend your money?
Serious.
And look, I have an embarrassing thing to admit to. I put the finishing touches on this presentation yesterday. Last night, I was sitting there on the couch. I was on Facebook and I got an ad and it was targeted to me. I know it because I've taken my kids to Monster Jam before. And it says pre-sale going on now. And I said, oh, that's awesome. And not only did I go and spend money on it and buy tickets to go, I texted my buddy and I texted my brother and I said, hey guys, look, they're on sale. Let's go. And I had my friend go spend money on it. And we'll see, but I maybe had my brother go spend money on it as well.
At least in this case, it's something that you really wanted to do anyway, and it just kind of spurred you to do it earlier.
It
But
is
it's brilliant.
It is. And my kids love going to it. And I've been wanting to try and figure out how I'm going to get them to the Snapdragon Stadium, where I'm not paying a huge amount of money to go bring them to a stadium and they don't care about what the event. So I saw it on there and I was like, oh, good. And it's not till like January, but it was money that I spent last night just because of a targeted ad, even after I spent time setting up this presentation to tell you not to go clicking on those targeting ads and spend a bunch of money. It works. And it, and I contributed to all of it. I peer pressured, I did all that, and I got people to spend money also. They weren't planning on getting a text, at 7:30, 8 o'clock saying, hey, look, Monster Jam tickets. So it really starts to, it works. But you give up all that information and you make it so that they know what to, send you as you go. And like me last night, you can be reached often anywhere because we carry our social media with us everywhere we go on our, phones and things like that. And you could be marketed to at any time of day or night. And you see those ads when you're supposed to be sleeping, but you're still scrolling through Facebook or Instagram or whatever the case might be. And to make it easy and more convenient for you, you can shop right there on the app. You don't even have to leave the app to make a purchase, right? You could do it right there. Click on the little link and go on a shopping spree. I think my wife had this purse. She claims that she didn't, but now I know where she got it from. Probably bought it on Instagram. But it doesn't take much, and it makes it easy. So it makes it easy for us. If I have to close out the app and go to my web browser and type in the name of the store.com and go make the purchase and things like that, there's a lot of opportunity for me to say, no, I'm not going to do it, or I misspell it, or I end up doing something else instead. If I could just click on the button and then do it, that's so much easier.
Which is why giving yourself a 24-hour rule is really important before any purchase.
But the sale ends today.
When you get something like that. Huh?
I said, but the sale ends today.
Yeah, I don't think that's always the truth, though.
I agree with you. I'm just saying they create that urgency that the sale is ending.
You're right.
And it's all part of the marketing thing. You know what else you could do on social media with money is you can learn more about money. Now, obviously you're here. I like to think of myself as a trusted resource and source of financial information, but that's not always the case because anyone can be out here giving you financial information. So you really got to be careful on where you're getting your information from. Anyone can start a TikTok or start putting shorts on Instagram or things on Facebook about how to make money. I made this much money, pay me money and I'll show you how. You've heard this ads, you've seen it. So just be careful where you're paying. Not everyone has the same risk tolerance. So not everyone who tells you how to invest in crypto is a crypto pro or anything like that. And you should proceed with caution because what is normal for some people may be devastating to you and you just might not be getting good advice. Yeah. So, be careful where you get your money. But just be smart on social media. You could use it. You can, tag your friends and watch silly videos and things like that. But, just be smart on there. And while you're on social media, don't forget to follow us because then you can get some good trusted financial information. You can follow DebtWave at those sites or the SDFLC at SDFLC pretty much everywhere. and follow us, give us likes, give us feedback. If you're watching this on Facebook, go ahead and drop a comment and say hello, or whatever the case may be. But just be cautious. So as I'm telling you, be careful, because social media can have a negative effect on your finances. Here's
Visit
an
our social media.
opportunity to visit our social media and help your personal finances. And look, you're going to be on there anyways, on average 2.5 hours. You might as well spend a little with us. And we definitely appreciate that. Any questions anymore? And we also have, as you know, if you watch this regularly, we have our podcast, Talk Wealth to Me. And we have 2 episodes that we've done recently that kind of touch on this. Do you fall prey to the retailer's holiday marketing calendar? And we don't just mean the holiday season, you know, that holiday marketing calendar is year round. And you know, how cell phones have changed our lives and finances forever, because honestly, where are you going on social media? Probably on your phone. So you know, that's important. We have here in the chat, one piece of advice I heard that may be helpful regarding social media and finances. If you wouldn't be able to post your purchase on social media, would you still want it?
That's interesting, because I would never want anybody to know what I was purchasing. Yet I guess that's a thing.
That's a thing. I mean, some people post their food on social media.
Yeah.
I'm guilty. I've done it before. But, you know, but it has to be like a special thing. Like you pick up a breakfast sandwich and a drink across the street from what's the big farmers market in Seattle, because you're out traveling. Or, you know, not just, I was at Jack in the Box and I got a really good jumbo jack or something like that, you know. But that's a great point though. Would you post it, or are you just buying it?
Yeah, is that an ego purchase? Like, right. Hey, look what I bought. I'm so excited. This is the greatest thing.
Check out my car that I just bought. You know, would you have been just fine with a different car? So definitely keep that in mind. And then obviously we have all our other podcast episodes available wherever you listen to your other favorite podcasts. You can search us up, Talk Wealth to Me, or check out our website and visit right there. And like I mentioned, in 2 weeks, if you happen to speak a little Spanish, or you just maybe want to spend some time learning a little Spanish, we are talking crédito, cómo funciona y cómo lo mejoro. In other words, credit. How does it work and how do I improve it? In Espanol, in 2 weeks, September 28th, you can register, same place you registered for this, over at Eventbrite. If Spanish is still a work in progress, that's okay. You can go on the Eventbrite and you can register for all of our upcoming Smart with Your Money Lives as well. Thank you, everybody, for hopping onto social media and either enjoying this presentation or watching it with us. And hopefully those ads don't get you as bad as they got me last night.
See you guys in a couple of weeks.